for this, it's pretty good over here. For this one, 20% conversion. And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, show me. I kind of don't believe it. And so we were showing him, the emails, showing him the text messages that are incoming, not reaching out. And man, he was sold instantly. And I'll tell you, the rest is history.
Welcome back to the Agent Marketers Podcast. I'm Ryan here with Adam, and we got a really good one for you guys today because it's Real Estate Lead Generation 101. It is the lifeblood of your business, all right? You can't sell a home if you can't generate a lead. We got to figure out how to generate leads. So with that and kicking things off, I wanted to kind of talk about what I was thrown into as far as being thrown into the fire. And do I think that's a thing that you should be doing right out the gate? And that was cold calling, because cold calling is huge. It is the lifeblood of a lot of people's businesses. They are on the phones. They're on the phones. That's just what they were taught to do. So initially, I was on a team, and that's what I was taught to do. Was you need to be on the phones. You need to be on the dialer. You need to be dialing, anywhere from 300 to 400 numbers throughout the day, and talking to people. What are your thoughts on cold calling?
Yeah, I mean, they always say real estate's a contact sport, right? Contact sport, meaning you got to get on the phone. You got to get those people to contact you. You got to get, and that's how you convert them to leads. You need so many people to talk to get the leads, and then that hopefully turns into deals, right? Well, I've got an agent on my team now that previous to my team, he was calling 300-400 people a day. And the minute that I showed him what I do, and I showed him two different things that I do, he's literally, he couldn't leave the team fast enough, because he's like, man, I am burnt. I'm done. I don't want to talk to people. And I told him, no cold calling. We're not cold calling. This is what we do. He's like, what are your conversions like? I'm like, man, for this, it's pretty good over here. For this one, 20% conversion. And he's like, I don't know. And he's like, show me. I kind of don't believe it. And so we were showing him the emails, showing him the text messages that are incoming, not reaching out. And man, he was sold instantly. And I'll tell you, the rest is history. He loves what he does now. He's happy. He works harder because of what he does. But I can tell you that cold calling is not the answer. Cold calling, there's a time and a place for it for some people. But there's no way you can convince me that cold calling is something that is sustainable. You can't talk to 300-400 people hanging up on you. There's a do not call list for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never been a cold caller. I've tried it. Just like, you got to try everything. And after the first 30 days, I was like, this never again. This is not for me.
We're not saying it doesn't work, but when we're talking about the most efficient use of time to build a business and a book of business, right?
I don't care if you're an agent it doesn't matter if you're an agent, a new agent, or if you're 10 years in the business.
Yeah.
There's better use of your time.
Way better use of your time. And again, not to say don't eliminate it from your business, but if starting right out the gate for my lead generation or what to attack first, I take this back to communication and just being able to talk to people. Just being able to have that conversation with people. You may not be ready for cold calling, because let me tell you, some of those conversations you're going to have with some of those people, they're pretty awkward. You might get cussed out, it's just not, it is not great to be thrown into the fire like that. And I was already good at talking to people.
Yeah. At the end of the day, those people don't know you. And so you're convincing anybody you cold call, you're convincing them that you're a good person, you're a good agent, they want to work with you, they feel comfortable with you. There's so many different angles that you have to, and hurdles to overcome with a cold call, that, what's better, right? There's better uses of your time, there's better strategies. And yeah, I mean, so you started with cold calling. Did you eventually kind of transition out of that, or what? I mean, mine was sphere of influence.
Right. We're going to get to that. But I mean, so like the cold calling and being on the dialer and all that stuff, I did it because I would join a team, and that was what was required of the team. So I'm going to hold up my end. But, after a month of it, 2 months of it, even, I was like, I didn't get my license to be a telemarketer, and I didn't get my license to sit in this office all day with a headset on trying to talk to people. Like I knew there was a better way. I knew there had to be a better way. And so to after 2 months in, and I got my license, and I've got my first deal under contract because I'm on a team and they generate a lot of leads in business. That was cool. But at the same time, I still was like looking and researching for other ways to do things because I didn't want to be in this office for the next 25, 30 years of my life, building somebody else's business, cold calling their list and hoping somebody would work with me. So
Yep.
that was kind of where I was at with that. And again, just the communication factor is just a long-term sustainable business, like you said, is not cold calling. You're going to get burnt out, and then you're gonna end up hiring somebody else to cold call for you, and then they're going to get burnt out because it's just it's like a mentally exhausting thing. It's not hard work necessarily.
No.
It's just mentally exhausting.
Yeah. And to be fair, you got to like what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people that can honestly say, I love cold calling. That's what I do. You're a rare bird if you do. Let's just put it
And
that
leave
way.
it in the comments if you love
people,
cold calling. Leave it in the comments. Let us know.
Please. Actually, yeah. So
yeah. Well,
yeah, man, I gotta tell you.
Talk about the door though. You said this before. It was almost like somebody coming to your door back in the day versus now, in that sort of analogy.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, if you think about the old days, right? Like go back in time a little bit. And I like to throw words out there like Rolodex to age myself a bit. But when I first got into real estate, I tried everything. I'll never turn something down and critique it and say, oh, if I didn't do it myself, right? So, but it's kind of like the old days, right? Somebody knocks on your door and you answer the door and you're like, hey, how you doing? You want a drink? Come on in. Or hey, how can I help you if it's somebody promoting something? But even if it's a friend shows up at your door. Hey, how you doing, man? Come on in. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. It doesn't matter if your house was a mess. It was unexpected. And it was natural for them to be like, popping by. I was in your neighborhood, right?
Yep.
Today, somebody, your friend, your family member knocks on the door middle of the afternoon. You're going to look through the Ring camera. You're going to look at, what are you doing
What are you doing here?
Right? Something happened? Yeah, like, what are you doing? Why didn't you text or call me, right? So
yeah,
it's kind of uncomfortable in today's world for a lot of people to receive a call from somebody they didn't know, trying to convince them to do anything. Forget selling your house, but to do anything, right? And so I kind of look at that and say, okay, well, let's just modernize things and let's come with something that's a little bit better, even though it's a technique that was used a long time ago. And it's like a staple in real estate. And I got to tell you, I didn't start my business cold calling. I started it off with a sphere of influence, with a database.
Right. And when it goes back to cold calling, a lot of people say their argument will be, well, you've got to talk to people. You can't sell real estate if you can't talk to people. That doesn't mean I have to cold call them, though. I've got a big sphere of influence, which we're going to get into, and how we're communicating with them. So talked about like that was your bread and butter when you first started. Talk about how when you first got your license, what your mentor told you, and then how it kind of evolved.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I started real estate, I came from similar background than you. I actually came from a restaurant family. I was in sales. I was in a few different backgrounds, and then got into real estate because my uncle was in the business and was successful. And the first thing he said is, Adam, open up your phone. Down the road, he said, open up Facebook. You've got all of your friends, family, coworkers, old coworkers, church members, anything that you have that's a part of your reach, that's an acquaintance. I don't care if you're 20 years old starting off real estate. Well, then get your friends' parents' numbers, right? These are people that know, like, and trust you. Or, I mean, even mine were people from back in high school, 15, 20 years that I didn't talk to at the time. And I just reached out to them as an acquaintance saying, these are the contacts that you need to put in your database, write them all down. Now reach out to them. And that call is not a cold call. It's, hey guys, I want to learn about you. Let them know you're in real estate. I'm in real estate. This is what I'm doing. And I want to be a valued resource for you now and for the future, right? Because at some point in time, you're going to sell your house, or you're going to buy a house, or your family or friend is going to buy or sell a house. I just want to keep in touch with you. By the way, what's going on in your life now? Oh, you've got a kid that, went to college. You're an empty nester now. What's life like? Talk to me about that. Maybe let's meet up for a cup of coffee. I just want to reconnect, right? Take the time to meet up with a cup of coffee and not talk real estate. That's huge. That's building a relationship. So the next time that you reach back out to them, it's a very simple call. That first one's the hardest. I'm not going to lie to you. But that second one, is like the easiest thing you've ever done, because it's like, hey, we met 90 days ago. That cup of coffee was great. How are things going now? You told me you were applying for a new job. You told me you were getting a new puppy, whatever that is. And it's just a very smooth conversation. And, I have a lot of people that have a tough time on that first call. Let me tell you the easiest thing to do nowadays. Let's use Facebook because I mentioned it. And this is a little bit of trickery, I guess, but I actually, I'm in Tampa, Florida, so we have a lot of outdoor events. We have a lot of things going on. But if you scroll Facebook and you find somebody, and like, let's say, Ryan, you were an old acquaintance of mine that I haven't seen since high school. Maybe you're even a woman, right? It's a weird thing for me to reach out to you as a woman or as a girl and be like, hey, how you doing? Let's talk, Sometimes that could be uncomfortable. But if I saw you with your kids, because you posted a picture of it at a concert or a festival or a fair, I can call you up or reach out to you like, oh my God, I think I saw you at this event with your kids. How adorable. I didn't get a chance to fight the crowd to make it over and say hello, but I'd love to catch up. What's going on? Something as silly and stupid as that you can just come out of left field with it and they believe it because they thought you were there. I mean, again, these are some reaching moments, but they're really good icebreakers.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes to just building the relationship, right? So now you've got a book of people that you already have familiarity with, and now you're just building more rapport with them. And if it's somebody that you do already know, then you're reaching back out and, hey, it's been too long since the last time we talked. How's little Jack doing? Is he big now? Like, what's going on? Oh my God, he's 9 now. He's playing baseball. Oh no way, he plays baseball. Like, where at? I got my, whatever that. You're just, again, it's building that relationship. Oh yeah.
Yep. And then here's the crazy thing is like, once you do the legwork, because nothing's ever gonna just be handed to you, but once you do that legwork and you build up 100, 200 people in that database, you probably never have to market again because it'll organically grow as you add people to that, because those trusted people now will refer you business. I mean, let me ask you this. This is a random question here, but this is one thing that I was told when I first started, because I had statistics and we had strategy. It wasn't like we just blindly went into this. But how often do you think somebody moves, sells their home, moves, or buys a home?
Yeah, I say 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. Okay. Let's round numbers. Let's say 10, just for, 5, then we double it. But let's just say 10. If somebody sells a home every 10 years or they buy a home every 10 years, right? If you have 100 people in your database, that's going to be 10 deals that you sold that year. And we know that people don't stay in homes 10 years anymore, especially not in that middle of the range. There's different movers. Your kids are empty nester. Now let's downgrade our house. Or the kids, you just had a 4th kid. Let's upgrade the house to 5-bedroom or whatever that is. So there's always different levels that people are moving. If you had 10 deals off of 100 people in your database, right? It's pretty easy to get to 100 that you know, like, or trust from churchgoers, coworkers, whatever that looks like. That's 10 deals right there. Statistics show that those 10 people will also refer you in equal amounts. So you're going to have 20 deals off of having 100 people in your database, okay? That the key is that you talk to, that you meet with, that you have conversations with, not that are just sitting there in your database and you don't call them. So if you nurture those 100 people, you got 20 real estate deals. Average price in Tampa, $400,000. That's $8 million in sales right there off of 100 people in your database. That's 6 figures all day, 6 figures plus, and very, very low overhead, right? Because you're not paying for ads, you're not doing anything, you're just enjoying a cup of coffee with your people every, a few meetups a week. If you double that number, making $300,000-$400,000 a year off of, and you can always change the price range. But that you'll never have to, you'll never have to market again because that will organically grow you. The only time you'll ever have to market is if you want to go to the next level, and you control that, right?
100%.
I don't know, man. As a new realtor, as a new realtor, new area, other things, I think that's where I would go. I'd say the biggest hurdle is if you're new to an area. So let's say you're new to an area, right? Because we are talking about what methods you would attack first and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If you're new to an area, which you have been, you recently moved somewhere, right? You were in Hawaii, went to Vegas, you've moved around a little bit. So what would you do? Would you go sphere of influence, or is that a little bit slower to build? I mean, I think you'll definitely do that, but what else would you do?
So in a new area, I can tell you right now, even like I haven't been in my area more than 2 years. Actually, it's only been, I don't know, 18 or 19 months, something like that. But because I am more of a social person, I'm type A, I'm not introverted, that type of stuff. I talk to a lot of people. I communicate with a lot of people. And one of the best places that I do that at is actually at the gym. In the gym. I'm making friends at the
Fair
gym.
enough.
I'm in the sauna with these guys at the gym. I'm playing basketball at the gym. I'm working out and people are asking me about my workouts and then they start to want to know what I do. And I got people now, like this guy Gary, for instance. This guy, old man's ripped biceps, but he always comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, how's business going?" Because he knows now. He knows I'm an agent, right? And I always talk to him too. So that is a place where, like I said, you got to kind of put yourself out there, but not in a salesy way. It just starts with something and then evolves into something else. Especially the time that I go to, people are like, "How the heck are you here in the morning? Like, you don't have to work." I'm like, "Well, I do, but I work on my time because of how I've set myself up." So.
You
That's one
have
of the
him in your
things.
phone as Gary from the sauna?
Yeah, yeah. No, that Hank's from the sauna or Frank. I got some old timers I hang out
Okay.
with. Yeah, I got some, and it's funny too. It's a huge mixed crowd. Huge mixed crowd. Like I'm hanging out with guys
Sure.
from 84 years old down to 22 years old, and they're like, so it's pretty cool. But I actually wanted you to tell another because I wanted to touch on building those relationships one more time and tell the firefighter story and how you built those relationships and how just again tapping into something else and how that
Yeah.
evolved and helped you do more business.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think we were talking about it the other day. So, I started in an office setting when I was in real estate, and let's fast forward to maybe year 3, right? Year 1 and 2, I built that sphere of influence, man, and I built those relationships, and it was funny because I could always see the guy next to me. He had a small team of 3 people, and everybody was cold calling, and I was always in a top percentage of my brokerage. I was at KW at the time, and this guy would always come over. He's like, "Man, you're coming in board shorts. You smell a little bit like beer. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't even know that you're supposed to be in the office with anything less than jeans, like just the office setting, because some people like to bring in their clients." I said, "Yeah." And he's on here with like, he's got Mojo dialer and all these dialers ringing with headsets on, everything, just looks stressed out as hell,
Yeah.
eating at his desk and, trying to talk to people. And I just come strolling in, and we have equal numbers, right? This is going back when homes were 200,000, 250, and we're pushing 8 million. I didn't have an assistant. It was just me, right? And I was just laughing. I said, "Man, I just got back from fishing." And he says, "How are you fishing, and what do you do with your time?" And I said, "Well, I built that sphere of influence, man." So my story was when I went fishing that day was, I built a relationship with a couple firefighters, right? Firefighter, police department, VA, all of that, military, all of that. They have like this brotherhood where they have great networking on their own. And so as soon as I sold 1 or 2 or 3 houses to these firefighters, I say, "Hey guys, I'm gonna ask you a favor. Tell your brothers, tell your friends, tell your guys that you work with about me. And anytime you sell me a deal, you refer me a deal and it closes, I'm gonna take a piece of that commission, and we're gonna do something fun with it." So fast forward, we had 5 guys that had bought 5 firefighters that bought homes with me, and they referred me to one other guy. When that 6th deal closed, I said, "Hey guys, that was a $10,000 commission. I'm taking 10%, $1,000. We're gonna do something fun. What do you want to do?" And they said, let's go charter a boat, man. Let's go fishing, because we're in Tampa Bay. We got fishing galore. And I said, "Let's do it." So we hired a guy that we actually all knew, another friend, and 6 of us went out. They were taking pictures, what does your realtor do for you, posting it on social media. So I'm getting extra marketing off that. And these guys were pumped. I mean, that they're like, "Okay, we got to get him a 7th guy because we want to go fishing, or we want to do anything that basically $1,000 will buy, right? Or whatever
Yeah.
that percentage is." And they were like, "Let's do this." That was that day. That's the day that I came in. And again, that's the outside of the box thinking that allows you to have fun while marketing, and you're building these relationships that will never go around. The Zillow, I think Zillow came out with Zillow ads and then all this, and then Redfin had the 1% listings. And as time went on, there's always going to be companies that try to take market share.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not competing with those guys. I built a wall around these people that I've built relationships with. They're not going anywhere. I literally have them saying, "I'm choosing you over some family members because my family members that are realtors don't call me." and I don't feel confident with them. Where you've been calling me for 5 years, and yeah, I've sent you somebody else, but now I'm ready to sell my house. Can you help me?
Yep.
And that's where that's sustainable through your career, and that's where you really have fun doing real estate, and you build relationships that'll take you on and on and on. So yeah, I mean, I had a great experience from Sphere of Influence, and that's definitely the bread and butter, the basic, mold or the base of my business was Sphere of Influence and database.
Relationship building is super key and not being salesy about it. But you were straight up. You were like, hey guys, I'm asking you a favor. Will you refer me? And then, I'm going to take a piece of my commission here after this next one or whatever. Let's go do something fun. Like, thank you as an appreciation thing for helping me grow my business. But I also like you guys too. So let's go hang out and let's go do something. And those firefighters that didn't get to go on the charter boat were probably pissed. Like, oh man, I missed out. But need to sell a home. But anyway, so again, relationship building is one of the biggest keys to all of it, really, and not just trying to sell. Because of course, we got the big gurus out there that always be selling, or sell. This, and it's just like, people are starting to see through that, or maybe, and not even now, just back even big time.
You got to bring value. You got to be a resource, and then what's crazy is that you'll start attracting people to you. You're not just chasing people.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get tired of that chase. And not only that, but if you stop chasing people, your everything dries up. Your business dries up.
100%.
You want to attract them. Yeah.
So back to, because I know we kind of, you asked me a question and I went backwards because I wanted to tell that story. It's a great story and a great idea for a lot of other people. You like golf, you like hooping, you like whatever it is, go hang out. You like hockey, go watch a hockey game, take them to the game, right? That's a very inexpensive sport to go to depending on the team. So you asked me, what would I do in a new market? And because that kind of is my scenario, and we're getting ready to close our first deal here for this market. What would I do if I were in a new market and attacking real estate lead generation? I have no sphere here. I know nobody. It's YouTube. It's making videos on YouTube. Not just any video, but making the right videos on YouTube is where I would go. And what I did, right, to, again, get that first deal working here. And the pipeline is huge already, right? But that first one's actually about to close. But YouTube would be my strategy for anybody moving to any new market. So.
Yeah. And to be fair, you would do that with your sphere of influence, because eventually you sell somebody from YouTube and it really goes into they are your sphere of influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, with me, I did the YouTube. I had some years on you because I've, over a decade now, I'm on year 11 here in real estate. And YouTube didn't really exist for realtors back when I first started. So that's where Sphere of Influence took me. And it carried me for 7 years, almost 8 years. That was my business. That's exactly what it was. And I did door knocking. I did called a few expireds, did some cold call. I tried everything. Open house guru. I'm not going to say none of it works, but every time I went back and looked at the ROI, the time I spent and what I got back for it, hands down, Sphere of Influence won. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you this, there was a limit. There was a limit to what I could do and how fast you can scale that, right?
Yep.
And then that's where, you kind of connected me with a few things and we all figured it out and we started working it together and tapped into YouTube. And I'll tell you, man, it changed my business to the tune of, like, I was hitting, consistently. I was 6-8 million, whatever, a year as a single agent without help. But we just crossed, 50 mil last year. And we're looking at, over 100 million just from YouTube over the last few years. And that forced me to grow into a small team of a couple agents. And the market, let's just say I started in 2021, right? So 2021 to 2022, 2023, 2021 and 22 were straight up. But 2023 for most people was a dip, right? We had 8%, almost 8% interest rates. My business kept growing. It didn't take a dip. So far over the last 3 years, YouTube has been the constant thing in my business. And what I love about it, especially since I grew my base from a sphere of influence, all of those deals that we did, over 100 million in sales, is now adding to my sphere of influence because now they're relationships. We're nurturing them the same way with the same principles. And I mean, it's going to get to a point where my business is just going to snowball because like we talked about in the beginning here, it's like every 7 years, 3 to 5 years, whatever it is that they need to sell. Man, that's just coming back on top of the new business coming in. So yeah, I mean, I had a little bit of a leg up because I was in Tampa. I knew Tampa before that, but going to a new place like you, it's amazing what YouTube and some of those social media things that you've been doing has given you as a new agent or in a new area anyhow, not knowing a person, right? And you can only meet so many Garys at the sauna, right? Or Hanks at the sauna, whoever.
Yeah.
You can only meet so many of those. So combining the two and really getting to something like YouTube, man, I think that's a massive opportunity for somebody in a new area or new agent, right?
New agents. And so one last thing we'll talk about here is the objections, because a lot of people will say, well, if I'm new to an area, how do I know what to talk about? Or even if I'm a new agent and I'm making videos, what do I talk about? Or what are the objections that might come my way? So just to give you a little bit of backstory, when I first started the YouTube journey, I was still only 6 months in as a real estate agent and generating leads from YouTube a month after I even started that first channel. And no question ever came in about how long I've been doing real estate ever, because of the way that I positioned myself as that expert in not just the area because I grew up there and I knew everything about the areas already, which already builds a lot of trust, but because I knew my data, I knew what the numbers were, I knew what areas, what zip codes, those prices, that appreciation. When you take the time to really study and know all of those things, like I'm sure I could ask you about Lutz and all these other areas, and you boom, got it. Like this is what homes are looking like over there, right? So when you move to a new area, you can take the time to study all those things, the numbers, the data. I always tell people, know your shit, right? If you know your stuff, nobody questions you. There's no questions to ask. So it actually came about, and that's like I said, new YouTube in a new area. Do your homework, do your research. When you're driving around, make sure you're paying attention to everything in the area. How does it make you feel? What do you see? Like all those things is something somebody else is looking for too, right? But not to go too deep in it, but when you know that stuff, nobody questions you. So quick story here. I did have a YouTube, I had a YouTube client finally ask me, how long you been doing this? First time. And but I was already, I don't know, I think it was already in year 2 or somewhere or another. And I didn't want to say exactly. So I said, oh, I've only been, doing this for a little bit. I actually just, branched out on my own and want to tackle this thing on my own. And he was just like, it's okay. It's okay, man. I just want to tell you, it seems like you've been doing this for 10 years. And then I was like, oh, well, thank you. I've actually only been doing it for 2. And then he was like, I had an idea once you came out with your answer that it probably wasn't that long. He's like, you're awesome, man. Not to toot my own horn, but it was because I knew my shit, man. I just knew it. And there was no questions.
That kind of leads me to a different angle, but same thing though, is, even though I was here for over 10 years as a realtor and I'm from Tampa, right? From my own city. So you think I know it pretty damn good. Over 1,000 people, this is the last statistic for the last 2 years. Over 1,000 people a day are moving to Florida, and over 150 people a day are moving to Tampa. Okay. That being said, our suburbs exploded. These are areas that didn't have anything, new schools, new things to do, new attractions, new communities. I mean, thousands and thousands of new construction homes, right? All around here.
Yeah.
Man, I had to learn it. So when you do the research to shoot a video, when you do the homework to do all that stuff, you instantly become knowledgeable, and probably more knowledgeable than some of the other realtors in your area instantly. And what's beautiful about it is, one of the agents that I just recruited, she was a top agent at KW. Now she's on my team, and she did it because nobody knew, YouTube or social media the same way. And she was watching me going, man, if I could just, not even be that guy, but if I could learn that. So when I called her, she was like, I watch everything that you do. It's awesome. And she's a top agent.
Yeah,
right? She's a top 5 agent back at the old office. So
probably cold
when she came over, not only was not cold calling. But what's amazing is that I'm like, hey, we deal with a lot of new construction now. We deal with a lot of this suburb stuff because that's the hot commodity right now in a market where our resale is low inventory, right? And she's like, Adam, I'm a top agent. I don't know half of these areas. I'm like, well, guess what? We've got relocation guides. We've got area guides that we set up tours for people with all of our resources that we do, right? We're always a big value add. I got all these here for you. We're going to go through that. And then we're going to go take you out. And when I shoot video, you're going to come with me and we're going to look at everything. And I mean, in 2 months, she looks back and she's like, Adam, I wasn't half the agent I thought I was until all of this. And it's simply because she just took the time and the reps to go through it all. So same thing for, a new agent or a seasoned agent. Sometimes you dive in a little bit deeper and you become that, know-it-all as a realtor. Your knowledge base just goes, it just explodes. So yeah, I think it's huge when you start to do that. You have a purpose now to do that research because you got to regurgitate it on film or regurgitate it to other people.
Yep.
Doing those reps, it makes you a better agent. So
yep. And I'm not faking the funk. These are things that I truly want to know so that I can help people, right? And so I'm doing the research and I'm going and exploring it to make sure that I have the actual feel for an area.
Yeah.
So let's put a bow on it. Putting a bow on it, all right? So yeah, guys, like we said, if we were to attack something first, it would definitely be the sphere of influence. Adam gave a ton of great nuggets in here. The firefight, all that stuff was just awesome. And again, I'm Ryan, and this is Adam here with the Agent Marketers Podcast. Tons of other tutorials, things like that on this channel, to help you grow your real estate business. You can check all those out right now.